And part 3. I am recording this at a slightly different time, so yeah, that was why my glasses are on again, and blah. Anyway. um, plus sleeping late for me has been a struggle, so there you go. So basically, I was shocked back then when my friend said that, but at the same time, I had known, I had many sort of indication, but I was like, so. And again, it's the whole concept of the question that stunned me. Like, have you ever been so afraid of feeling something because like, obviously we all know ourselves typically better than most other people would know us, no matter how close they are or how close they think they are. Again, most likely. But the thing is that if we're too afraid to face something within ourselves, and we're too, like, we almost feel like we're like looking at the world from like our own mind to a degree, I guess, because we feel like powerless, we feel helpless. I'll tell you people that back then, that's how I felt. And it was a shit-tastic feeling. Ugh, I hate that old man. Ugh, it looked terrible. No. I thought I'd grow my hair like that again to see if I could do it, see if I could tolerate it like that. That's the only reason I would do it. But, pardon my coughing. Some more water. If I get any bit excited during this video, I had cake a while ago, so I'm liable to do such thing as get excited. But yeah. But yeah, it's that, and it's when you're not honest with yourself about something, no matter what it is. And he's like, "What would you do if you were in my position?" And I was just like, well, I've never been in that position. I don't know if I ever would be, necessarily speaking. Of course, I mean that's hard. I don't even know how someone could be in that position because, of course, his feeling was for me, and I'm just like, well, I'm like, I'd be upfront with the person and tell them if you feel that strongly, and especially if the feeling is deep enough, such as that it's, bordering on loving, like just absolutely loving someone, then tell them. And then he just told me, he's like, you already know anyway, don't you? He's like, you're that smart. I've known for how many weeks now? It was just kind of funny that it took him that long. Plus, with his brother around quite a bit, or whatever, when I was, well, when I could go to his house, or when I would go to his house, whatever, and the brother was usually there, and it's like, it became obvious to me more and more. He would just kind of like look. Whenever we were like playing video games together, he would just like look, he'd be like, I could tell, because eventually I asked him, I'm like, what the hell's going on? So I tell you right now, guys, you can't make shit like that up. You just can't do it. But, and again, it was just so, and again, part of his thing was, his hair was like just all over. It was like all like crazy though, because he was in a band, very, he was blonde, so he kind of started to look stereotypical. It was just funny. It really was funny. But so, but yeah, part of it. And I mean, I also noticed because he had started whenever we were like, the main thing he would go to whenever we would hang would be donuts. And I'm like, why donuts? Because now I'll tell everyone something about this guy. He has a stomach that's like about as tight and cinched as you can humanly be without looking like a comic book character. So, how you get that with eating donuts? I do not like people with metabolisms like that, for one, because if I did what I did just a while ago, and I had a ton of cake, and I also had a piece of marshmallow coffee cake, if I did that, believe me. But his was more. He later told me, and this is some people, I think, more than others, but and because he knew he'd get away with it. Admittedly, he liked donuts only because his brother turned him on to them. Because he never was a big donut eater before. He just loved Boston cream, and I think he was just plain honey glazed. I don't remember anymore, but I like Boston cream donuts too, don't get me wrong. Boston cream donuts are fucking delicious. Oh my god, nice and sweet. Just, oh my god, no, it's so good. But I'm just like, this is not like him. This just isn't. And I'm still surprised I haven't Freudian slipped his name. I'm very happy with that, to be honest. But his brother's like, because I eventually asked brother, I'm like, has he been eating more lately? What is going on? Because I've noticed every time I've been here, and even he's like, oh, and he's like, it's even like a day or two after too. He'll eat, and it's like, I don't think it's a growth spurt. He's like, I don't know what's going on, but he's like, I think. He's like, I think when you're here though, it has something to do with you. I'm like, what? I'm like, me? He's like, you can't tell yet, and that's when we started talking about it. And I'm like, oh no, I've had suspicions, but someone is what they are, and anyone who judges them for that is, quite frankly, a dick, as far as I'm concerned. And I wouldn't want to be around that person if they're going to judge people. It's not right. I'm just lucky enough he trusted me, like to actually be fully honest and tell me. And that's the key. I mean, I don't know why. Like, because whenever someone's scared of their feeling for someone or emotion, no matter who it is, gay, straight, or otherwise, I guess I'll include bi in there, fuck it. May as well, I kind of should. Kind of fits in there. But more often than not, what do we do as human beings when we're afraid of how we feel? Guess what we do? We give you a hint. It involves getting up. It involves doing this. It involves running. You run as fast as you humanly can. You run as fast as you can. Typically away from the feeling, obviously. Or whatever. By the way, most people just saw how I looked kind of a little bit, like body-wise. Do I look like I eat frickin' chocolate cake and marshmallow coffee cake a lot? Mm-mm. The scary part is lately I have been, but I've been in a bit of funk myself about certain things, but that's entirely beside the point. X being one of them, as much as forgetting her completely would be nice. And that's just wipe her out of my mind. That'd be great. Someone give me some kind of serum to do that, please. But yeah, a really good friend of mine helped me with that, and I'm really grateful he did, because he tried to. He was like, ow. No, he didn't do that. He didn't crack his neck to help me do it. He didn't do that. He just was like, what happened to forgetting about her and not talking about her and, not beating yourself up for what happened. I mean, and that was I think what I needed to hear, and it was really nice for him to say that. But yeah, I'm digressing a bit, but so like I said, I've been in my own funk for several reasons. So, but yeah, if someone has feeling for someone, like no matter who it is, like I said, gay, straight, bi, anything, if you don't like that feeling, you're liable to just back away. Especially if you're afraid, or if you're easily afraid anyway, you're just liable to be like, and not want no part of it. And that's what I think my bud went through back then, because he was just like, and he had a pretty damn good idea of my sexual preferences, so he wasn't about to, yeah, I mean, but even then, I mean, it's not like I just, it was, I don't know what to call it, flattering, but at the same time, it's just like, I didn't care, though. I was just like, you know what, whatever, fine, you are what you are. And it's like, woohoo, I mean, whoopee. And last week, this time, I was having a lot more fun than making this video. Tell people something, I was at this fun panel, and it was it was called, Guess Against Humanity. Very comedic, very, very funny. I can only stay for a bit of it, though, but it was absolutely fucking hilarious, and I enjoyed it quite a bit. But yeah, so, I mean, but that's the bottom line. And he told me, I'm like, you're not enjoying it, too, other things, because if you really had those feelings for me back then, and whenever we were hanging, you probably thought about those feelings, and it probably made you, like, go crazy inside, because you knew you couldn't act on them, or felt like you couldn't act, or you were afraid, and you were whatever, you're afraid to tell me, you're afraid of this, you're afraid of that, you're afraid of one thing or the other. And that was a lot of it. It reminded him of those feelings, and again, I'm ready to start quoting a song, and it's so embarrassing to know I know this song. That's only because I know it because of, ironically, my ex. It's called Just So You Know, and I won't say who it's by. I'll let people who know who it's by figure that out. or look it up. I only know it because of my ex. I swear. That's because I did sing it to her, admittedly. It's a really, really sappy sort of song. Very sappy, but shit. I just totally lost my train of thought. Oh God, guys, I'm sorry. Like I said, I wolfed down that cake a while ago, so I'm just kind of my body's not adjusting well. It wasn't Reggie enough. I mean ready enough. Oops, did I say Reggie? I meant ready. I'm like, yeah, you're probably thinking about those feelings. You're probably all nervous. You're probably trying to shove them down, and you didn't want to feel them. And even though, you knew I wouldn't care because I'm not going to judge. Like, if you enjoyed hanging out that much, just like anyone else, if someone enjoys hanging out with someone, regardless, if they can be upfront and honest with whatever the real thing is, that's called be out open and honest. Like what he eventually had the courage to do. And I told him, if you'd done that a long time ago, you would have saved us a lot of difficulty. Like, just because even being around him, I could feel like he would like tense up. I'm just like, what is going on? And that's when eventually I'm like, oh my God, I was right. And sure enough, like I said, his brother basically confirmed it for me, and I'm just like, oh my God. But yeah, it was crazy. It's really weird to think that kind of fear, and that kind of fear of being judged, was holding him back from having the fun he could be having. And I told him that's also why you probably weren't getting that much enjoyment out of anything else. Because think about this. It's like, I mean, you were more preoccupied with what you thought you couldn't tell me, even though you can trust me. And that got on my fucking nerves. In a sense, but later he admitted, he's like, you're right, I should have, I'm sorry, I didn't. And I'm like, at the same time I understood, because, this world is not as open as it fucking should be. I've said this in past videos. This world is just, it has so much work to do. Part of it makes me a little sick. So yeah, I told him, I'm like, dude, you know what? Just don't. If you trust me enough, next time, just fucking tell me whatever. Just please. Spare us both. And I'm like, that's probably where you were enjoying many other things. Besides the fact you weren't out to your parents, that didn't help either. There are a lot. It's hard. That shit's hard. It's really hard. I mean, and I'm like, I don't care if you did have feelings for me. You're still my freaking friend. I don't give one damn. Whatever. Just whatever. But yeah, it was a really weird train of logic, and I felt the need to share that, and I did tell him, I didn't say I'd quite say this much, I don't believe, but I did tell him I'd, probably tell a little bit about that part, because I never really mentioned it, I don't think, in any of my previous talks about him, but he, and thankfully, he didn't really mind, because again, we started, and that question blew me away so much, I think he felt kind of bad, because I was, like, in such shock, so he kind of just gave me, carte blanche, but thankfully now, I mean, all that story aside, he's doing pretty well, which is good. That's a very good thing, and makes me glad. Makes me glad. Don't get mad, get glad. But no, it does. It makes my quips and whatever aside, it's good. It's good to see that he found happiness. Jesus, I cannot. And we still see each other a fair bit, and that's cool. We can hang out, talk about lacrosse, talk about whatever the fuck, So it's all cool. So that's good. I'm talking about whatever else. Exercise, whatever. Pokemon a little bit. He's even into Pokemon a little bit. He's play a theme on. I play it. God, no. There are very few people I think who could. I mean, I've said this past videos. I can talk pokes for hours with. I really like them. Borderline probably love them because, that's just a really cool thing. Pokemon is really fun for me. I think it pretty much always has been since I started playing again when I was 18. And, probably will be for a while. Probably till at least in, I don't know, late 20s, early 30s. I don't know. It's stay fun probably for a while. I like it. Because the meta does evolve quite a bit, which is nice. And that's the other thing I should also mention. I said about how, sometimes the external, well, thankfully, of all the things to sort of bring me what really kept me out of total Funkville back then, for a very long while anyway, when I look like that, these things. Pokemon. Not these, because they weren't released yet. But 4th and 5th gen, I started getting into Pokemon again. I started getting into Platinum, then Black and White, and then all that crap, Heart Gold. I started getting into all that. And that really brought me a lot out of, to an extent, thankfully, my funk. Pokemon's great. It really is a great game. People think games can't, have as much impact, as other things. Dead wrong. Dead wrong. It's like, you know, people use, like, some people use therapy dogs for things. Like, so who's saying a video game can't be therapeutic? That's, I mean, it's what's worked for, wow, Matt, speak. It's what works for the person. There we go. But yeah, so it was just funny, you know, that my friend called, and partly back then too, because I think what my thing was too, I wasn't enjoying things as much as I could either. And I feel for anyone who feels like that for whatever reason, whether you have feelings for someone, you're afraid to admit it to them, which would be a shit feeling, or like what I was, well, and also because I didn't have the courage to break up with my girlfriend after the first year, because I knew she wanted kids at 20. I'm like, I gotta try and make this last a bit more because there's just no reason. So we lasted, I think, probably about a year and like a month, and that was it. We couldn't. I thought it would last 10 months. Thankfully, it lasted a little longer, but it didn't. At the same time, I considered it over at 10 months, but it really did last a little longer. But it was just, at that point, it was just no. So, and but yeah, I mean, I lie to myself about those feelings. I think other people lie to themselves about, you know, whether it be romantic or otherwise. We love to lie to ourselves about shit like that. It's not good. It doesn't help us. It hinders us. It crushes us. It flattens ourselves. It makes us not ourselves, I guess, in a way, is what I'm trying to really get across. Because we become so absorbed in trying to live that lie or live not facing those emotions and those feelings that we almost grow distant, not from the very people we're trying to avoid facing. We grow distant from ourselves, if people get me. I know it may sound a little too deep, but we do. We grow distant from ourselves and from the root of who we are. That happened to me. That's how I know. Back then, like I said, I was afraid to tell my girlfriend. I was afraid to vocalize to my parents more than the one time I did, and I got screwed over for it. I got in a bad funk, everything. It was just, I can only blame, well, to an extent myself, but I can also blame my advisor for being dumb, and I can blame a few other people. But I also, I mean, chunk of it falls on me, of course. There's no two ways about it if I'd said it more than once. But again, my parents somehow didn't hear me the one time I said it. Yeah, that's convenient, don't you think? Very convenient. Very convenient. But yeah, so, but yeah, I'll jump into this for 1 second, because I do want to describe a little bit of this, because in the next few days there's going to be a video on this. And then I want to go back and finish talking about this, and I'll wrap this up. So in the next few days, there's going to be a video about how, of all the Pokemon, Chesnaught is actually very good in OU. Now, anyone who knows that thing, it is the 6th Gen grass starter. It evolves Chespin, Quilladin, and then Chesnaught. Why it doesn't go CCC is beyond me, but okay. Chesnaught is very good in OU for a couple of reasons. One, its ability Bulletproof, which blocks ball and bomb moves, Shadow Ball, Focus Blast, Energy Ball, Seed Bomb, Egg Bomb, which is not used but still, Aura Sphere. It blocks a lot of things. It blocks, I can't even think of all offhand. It blocks so many different moves. But yeah, Chesnaught is very good in OU, and I will explain why in probably like 2 or 3 days. I want to make a video like that for a while, because I found great success with that spiky little fuck. He's really good. Really, he's a great poke, to be honest. Anyone who hasn't used him in OU, or at least tried some set with him, try him. You may like him. He's nowhere near as bulky as Mega Venusaur, but he's got some perks Mega Venusaur doesn't have. Like, Mega Venusaur can also take on Thunderous Eye, but what's more fun, using a Chesnaught to take on Thunderous Eye? Now, people can imagine how you can do that. There's a couple ways, but yeah. But yeah, that'll be in a couple days, so everyone can look forward to that. It should be interesting, and I've been dying to talk about him, because he's pretty good. And here's the other thing, if it weren't, I'm going to go to the other starters for like a minute or so here. Greninja is very good, as everyone knows. Protean's very good. His coverage is very good. Delphox is just mediocre. And the reason it's mediocre, A, it's defensive typing, and B, because it's just, it lacks a very diverse move pool. It has some decent moves, but it just lacks, it's not, I don't know. I can't describe it. But that'll be in a few days, like I said, for him. So everyone can look out for that one. And so back to this, just a little bit more now. Basically, like I said, I feel bad for anyone who's, like that would be. And again, I was in a similar spot, not again exactly the same, but fairly, funk, whatever, and just like him, is like when you can't enjoy stuff, and when you're avoiding, like I said, someone else because you can't face something or feeling about that person or how you feel, like whether it be romantic or otherwise. Eventually, you got to face it. You got to look at yourself. You can't say, oh yeah, be like denial, be like, no, I don't feel that way, and what, let it eat you alive? Because that's a good idea. Keep all that in, okay. I don't understand that, but okay, sure. Um, but I guess some people do. I don't know. It's weird. Um, to keep, whatever, like, especially, like again, because you can only, like I said, you become so dependent, almost not dependent. You become so devoted to living a lie and so devoted to like keeping your whatever secret or whatever the hell it is why you would stay away and shy away from someone. You actually shy away from yourself because you're just worried and whatever. But in the end, that doesn't do you any good. So it's like I said for my bud. I'm glad he found at least some form of happiness because he's a nice person. It's not like he's he's not a dick. He's not like he's not gonna go out of his way to hassle you or stab you in the back or do something terrible. He's a good, genuinely good person, which is if he'd been a dick, I wouldn't care that much. But he's not, which ticks me off that he had to go through. But and that's what sucks. So anyone else who goes through that is just damn. But yeah, so like I said, everyone can look forward to the Chesnaught video in a few days, and I hope that's very entertaining for people. And yeah, like I said, before, it's a good thing I talk about my buddy with that kind of stuff. Like saying, I can talk. I've said this in past videos. Mainly, it's Pokemon, anime, and Yu-Gi-Oh. Those are my three loves. Like to be fair, and anyone who I talk about those for hours on end, it goes from border like to borderline love because like people like that are just like really really just good, like most of my videos lately have been Pokemon content. Most people probably tell them I said before I'm a big Pokemon fan. I've been since 18 again, and before that I was a fan until I was about 15. Then I stopped playing, and then once college, like I said, and once everyone saw that crappy picture of me on my ID from my first university, I got way back into it, and I loved it again. I've refound my enjoyment for it, which is good. But yeah, it's a good game. It really is. Probably a great game. Yeah, it is. I mean, but yeah. So like I said, everyone look forward to that next vid, and yeah, I never know how to end these fucking things. Anyway, like I said, and I'll also probably go a little more on what makes Delphox mediocre, as well as a little bit about why Gringe is so good. I've said it in past vids, though. I mean, again, his coverage, Gringe is very good. But yeah. So anyway, this is MD865, and yeah, and even in those the vid coming up in a few days, I may give out some tips on the team I have that Chesnaught on. I don't know. I don't really like doing that. I don't like giving out my teams, but there's probably one person I would do that for because I really I enjoy to an extent helping him with teams, but I don't know. Lately, he doesn't seem to want help. He just seems to think that I don't know what the deal is, but so I don't know what's going on. I don't know, but I do enjoy it to some extent. So I may give out some tips for it. It's a good team. I mean, it works. It does what it's supposed to. So, but yeah. So that's been this vid, and I hope everyone enjoyed this. Like I said, if I seemed a bit hyped or maybe extra moving, I do apologize because, like I said, just some cake a while ago, so I'm a little bit hyped up. But yeah. So I will see everyone in a couple days. Goodbye.